Hello everybody, it's Rachel Merrick from Merrick Makings, and today we're going to be making a floral baby card. This card came about because recently we had somebody that we knew have a baby girl, and I had made a quilt to gift to them. So I wanted a really nice card as well, a bit of a keepsake to match with it. So I'm using Petal Pink as my cardstock base, and I've just cut it to a standard size, and I'm scoring it here so that it sits flat using my bone folder. You'll notice that I am using a combination of the Petal Pink, soft Seafoam and mint Macaron, as well as our basic white cardstock. I have used the Stamp Cut and Emboss Floral folder to create a textured background for my white cardstock mat, which I'm just going to trim back here now and pop it onto it'll go onto the front of my card. I really like these embossing folders because they give a really deep impression, and in the sunlight they really capture every single little detail. Decided not to use any colour on this one and just let the white shine, and it's really pretty. Like I said, as you move it you can see all the details in the floral pattern itself. Being a baby girl, I felt that a floral pattern was a fairly appropriate one to use. Obviously if you're using a boy one, you would probably just switch out the colours and perhaps use, say, the brick background, or even the artistically inked gesso type of textured background is a nice one. Now I have pre-cut some labels that I am going to use, and I am using the artistically inked images today as well, with those three colours to complement the card. I used the potted succulents dies and cut out this longer label. I'm really fond of that one, and a stitched rectangular one. I think it's the third smallest one there as well. I'm going to pop some colour onto the rectangular one to mimic a softer style designer series paper, if you like. And you can see that I'm just going to match them up. I used the darker green for the leaves, the lighter green for the ink blot, and the pink for the rosette. And it was really a matter of choosing colours from the same family so that they matched very well. I grabbed a piece of scrap white paper just to protect my board a little bit, and started inking up. These ink beautifully, being the rubber inks, they just really give a really lovely impression when you stamp them down. The ink blot is a fantastic one just as a background, you can see there. The rosette is really pretty, and I wanted it to feature a couple of times on this one, as it was going to match my cardstock base as well. So I'm popping most of the image onto the label and allowing it to overlap slightly onto the background, my scrap paper. Very simple, just to put them down in some random spots that allow you to have almost like a continuous pattern. I didn't want to go too heavily handed with the leaves, but I definitely wanted them to feature on this piece, just to give that variance of colour. You'll notice that I try to overlap them slightly and they come off the edge so that you get kind of little pairs or just partial images. And most of my negative space, the white space, has been completely covered once I've finished my stamping. I'm just going to pop my stamps and ink pads away. The one thing that is really great about stamping up ink pads, and I say it often, is that when you close them up, they actually turn the ink pad upside down. Now, I did use a congrats sentiment from a retired set, purely because I went through my current stash and didn't really have anything that said congratulations or was baby themed, which of course now my wish list reflects that, and I have a couple of new sets from the annual catalogue that will allow me to make sure I have some of those ready at hand if I need them. I'm going to use the white glue. Now, you have to apply it quite liberally when you're using these embossed pieces of cardstock because of the depth that they do emboss. You do need to ensure that there's a fair bit of glue on there, and you need to kind of press it down a little bit to get it to adhere. But it's a really strong glue, this one, so it will stick quite well. You can notice now that the label that I'm about to put on, I did cut a very, very small bordered matting out of the, trying to think what it is. It's not soft seafoam, it's it's the other green that I used that I said previously, I've forgotten now. And I've just add that little bit of interest to the edges, and it's very subtle. It's not noticeable at all. And I'm using dimensional dots on my shaped label that I've stamped the Petal Pink Congrats on. I'm just popping that on there before I adhere the whole lot. You'll notice I have just a tiny little bit of bling on this card today, and that's one of the inferior pieces from, I'm going to say the Artistically Inked. I'm pretty sure that's the set that it comes from. I'm just popping it between the two different types of labels. I wanted something just pretty on there, but not overpowering at all. And I really resisted trying to use gemstones or sequins or any of that kind of bling that I normally tend to gravitate towards. I just wanted it really simple. Again, using the glue to stick it down, and it is quite tricky because there is a lot of raised edges and my fingers do get a little bit sticky, so a little bit of extra on there and then popping it back into the bottom right hand corner of the card. A very simple card, this one, and like I said, it came together very, very quickly. Again, you could change the colour scheme if you've got a boy that you're making for, or change the sentiment as well. Thanks for joining me, and as always, happy stamping.